Hey everybody, I'm Logan Alec. I'm a CPA. I own Choice Tax Relief. We help folks who owe at least $10,000 in back taxes. We help them negotiate with the IRS on their behalf to get them into the best possible resolution for their situation. We also help folks who have multiple years of unfiled tax returns, help them discreetly get back into compliance, back into the tax filing system. And one thing we do for some of our clients who owe a lot of money to the IRS is we negotiate for them what's called an offer in compromise. An offer in compromise is an offer to the government to compromise, i.e. settle your tax debt for less than you owe. Not everybody qualifies. Okay, I think I made a video, why your offer in compromise will probably be rejected. Here, link to that video up the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Because it's basically an analysis of your ability to pay the IRS back what you owe. Okay, if you can prove to the IRS that you're not going to be able to pay back what you owe, then they may very likely agree to settle it for a lower amount. This is what the offer in compromise program is. It's also called the Fresh Start program. Okay, a lot of tax relief, basically the IRS came out with something called the Fresh Start program over 10 years ago. It is not the same thing as the offer in compromise program. I've explained what the Fresh Start program is here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, this video up here. But a lot of tax relief companies in their marketing use it synonymously with the offer in compromise program. And that's what Peanut Gallery 5245 is asking about in this video, or in this comment here that I'm going to address. Peanut Gallery says, I have quite a bit in back taxes. Doesn't the Fresh Start program, and he means the offer and compromise program, only qualify for people who are essentially homeless? Any assets and income a person may have disqualifies them. The answer to that, Peanut Gallery, is no. You certainly don't have to be homeless to qualify for an offer and compromise. It's all relative, okay? I mean, to settle for an offer and compromise, to compromise $1,000 of tax debt, yeah, you might have to be pretty close to homeless. But consider Charlie Sheen. I made a video about Hollywood actor Charlie Sheen, who got an offer in compromise accepted. Link to that video at the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Is Charlie Sheen homeless? No. In fact, in the offer in compromise documents, we see that he owned a home in, I think, Beverly Hills, California, a home in a nice part of Mexico, and another home, I think, somewhere in Ventura County, California. Okay. Man had homes. He was not homeless. They also found that he was making, his net disposable income was about $50,000 a month. Okay. So the man certainly had a home, he had assets, and he had income. Oh, but he owed $7 million to the IRS. So, well, no, he wasn't able to settle his $7 million of tax debt with the IRS for $1,000. He was able to settle it. I'll have to rewatch that video I made, but something like around $3 million. Okay, so he saved $4 million. Right? So, Peanut Gallery, no, you definitely don't have to be homeless. Now, your comment about income and assets, yeah, they do count against you for the offer and compromise. Okay? But let's take your income, for example. It's not just based on your gross income. Okay? We had a guy made, I think he was making over $200,000 a year. Okay? We settled out an offer and compromise program. I think his $90,000 of tax debt for like $2,000. I made a link to that video, there's a video at the upper right-hand corner screen. Click it. I go through that guy's case from beginning to end, right? And you're probably sitting there thinking, how the heck does someone making $200,000 a year, is he able to settle his $90,000 tax debt for $2,000? It's because the IRS lets you take certain deductions against your gross monthly income in order to come out with your disposable income at the end of the month that plays into your offer and compromise calculation. This fellow who made over $200,000 a year, he had like 5 or 6 dependents, and he lived in Brooklyn, New York, one of the most expensive parts of the country to live. Okay? And so at the end of the day, we were able to argue that, yeah, his gross income, $200,000, and by the way, he worked his butt off for this income. Okay? He was, I believe he was a nurse, I believe, worked a ton of overtime, basically working around the clock, right? Because if you're a nurse, you can do that because hospitals are open all the time, right? 24 hours a day. People need them 24 hours a day. We were able to argue that, hey, yeah, he makes $200,000 a year, but after taking taxes out, federal, New York State, and New York City taxes, after taking out, his housing expenses, food and everything for himself and his wife and his mother-in-law, who is his dependent, and his children, who are his dependents, right? He actually doesn't have very much to live on at the end of the day, bottom line. And then you talk about assets. This particular individual didn't have much assets to speak of. But, even that, when we talk about assets, yes, they technically count against you in offer and compromise, but it's kind of relative as well, because of the way the IRS does their math to calculate your equity and assets. The type of assets that most commonly eliminates or precludes people from eligibility for the offer and compromise program is equity in their home, right? The average American, their greatest component of their net worth is the equity they have in their home, right? And then maybe like 401ks and things like that, right? But, for people who've owned a home a long time, especially with home prices what they are, folks, net worth is usually very much tied into the equity in their home. And that equity does count against you in an offer and compromise. However, there's a little rule in the offer and compromise math. I've done a whole video on the offer and compromise math. Link to that video at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Offer and compromise guidelines, I think I called it. Very good video. Watch it. It's a few years old, but it still covers the basics. You take, basically, the way the IRS calculates the equity in your home, they take your fair market value of your house, okay, multiply that by 80%, and then subtract the mortgage. So you could have $1 million home, a home that's worth $1 million. But if you owe $800,000 on it, you might go around and be able to tell people, yeah, I have $200,000 of equity. But the way the offer and compromise math works is you actually multiply that $1 million by 80%. That gets you to $800,000. It's called the quick sale value. Subtract the $800,000 mortgage, the note on it, you actually have zero equity in that asset for offer and compromise purposes. Your home, even though on paper you have $200,000 of equity in your home, it's not going to count against you in this situation for offer and compromise purposes. Now, this is, it seems a little bit unfair, right? But that's kind of the way it is. That's how they've laid out their rules. And there's lots of other rules like this when you're negotiating with the IRS and offer and compromise. And sometimes the people reviewing your offer and compromise forget these rules, or they never knew these rules in the first place. And so they'll reject your offer and compromise, and then you got to appeal it, and then you'll win in appeals. Matter of fact, here's the appeal we had to do for the offer and compromise case I mentioned previously, because the offer examiner is actually an offer specialist who was looking at the offer. She made so many mistakes in her rejection of the offer. She got the number of people in the household wrong. Okay, she didn't give our client an allowance for housing and utilities. He was paying $3,229 a month for rent. He had child support of $991. That's court ordered. She wasn't giving that to him in reducing his disposable income. Out-of-pocket healthcare for 6 people. Okay, so you got to know the rules, right? Because chances are you're going to be dealing with someone at the IRS who either doesn't know the rules themselves or does know the rules, but is going to assume you don't know the rules, so they're not going to give you the benefit of the rules. Okay? So, peanut gallery, yeah, I would take issue with your statement. Well, not your statement. I mean, I'm not taking issue with you. I'm answering your question here. Doesn't the Fresh Start program, the Offer and Compromise program, only qualify for people who are essentially homeless? No. Charlie Sheen, definitely not homeless. Got Offer and Compromise approved. Any assets and income a person has may disqualify them. Yeah, your assets and income work against you, but that doesn't mean if you have assets and income that you're going to be disqualified automatically. You got to work through the math. You got to know the numbers. You got to know all the rules of the IRS Offer and Compromise program to work them in your favor and to get something through. And it's not just with offers and compromise, which is actually not very few taxpayers actually qualify for an offer and compromise. But this goes for other things too. A partial payment installment agreement, a normal installment agreement, currently non-collectible status. All these things, you got to know the rules, and you got to know how to work them in your favor and present them in such a way that you will prevail against the IRS. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have taxes, if you owe at least 10 $1,000 to the IRS, or you have multiple years of unfiled returns, congratulations. You qualify for a free consultation with us at Choice Tax Relief. Give us a call, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829 to schedule your free consultation. Or you can visit our website, choicetaxrelief.com, fill out the form on the homepage, and we will reach out to you. I also have some other videos here on the left-hand side of the screen about the IRS Offer in Compromise program for your education and enjoyment. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.